Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome to 93.7 The Ticket, downtown Lincoln on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm Thomas Viglianco. Little one-on-one with basketball star of Nebraska, Bryce Williams, good friend, dear friend. Following that up, after Bryce is on, we're going to have a little college basketball insider, Kevin Sweeney, talking all things college basketball as it's starting up November 4th. So a little two-part series here, Bryce Williams and then a little Kevin Sweeney, college basketball insider, Sports Illustrated. And in the studio right now, we have Bryce Williams from North Carolina in his second year with Nebraska. Bryce, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For people out there that don't know, which is probably a lot of people, I've known Bryce now for most of the time that he's been in Nebraska. Been helping Bryce on and off the court, mentorship on the court, training, and so forth. And for the first show of I guess my tenure here at 93.7 The Ticket, I wanted to get Bryce on because he's a special human, special person in my life. And a lot of people out there, Husker fans, college basketball fans, pro basketball fans, don't know who Bryce really is. And just want to get the story of Bryce Williams, talk all things life, basketball, shoes, sports teams, fashion, whatever Bryce wants to talk about, so you guys can all get to know Bryce better.
I would like some fashion talk. That'd be good.
Some fashion talk. Hey, he's the one dripped out right now. So we'll start with this, Bryce. You're from North Carolina. What was your childhood like? What was your middle school, high school stuff, earlier youth, whatever it is? What got you to be a basketball player, or was it a baseball player first, or football player first, or whatever? Tell us more about your upbringing and your sports background and your childhood.
My childhood was pretty plain. I feel like it was any child's dream. I just played outside with my friends, whether it was me riding bikes, doing something in the woods. It doesn't even matter. I was just outside, really just exploring, using my imagination. I wasn't really on the phone or on the computer like a lot of kids are today. But it really, my first thing I fell in love with was skateboarding. I don't know how I got into it. Might have saw a video on YouTube, but then every day after I saw one video, I was watching it every day. And then when I got my first skateboard from Target, it was like $20, and it wasn't that good. I was still on that every day, and then I went to the skate park and realized I wasn't that good. But I fell in love with the work, and obviously it's a consistent grind, but also fell in love with just failing, falling, getting back up. Being scared of something, but overcoming it. But my first real fear was dropping into the half pipe. It was like 12 feet. And I was scared, obviously, because I'm 12 feet above the ground, and I got to go down almost vertical. But I tried it, and I didn't hurt myself, but I fell really hard. I just fell straight on my back. And then I go to the mini ramp, which is probably like 3 or 4 feet high, and I was still scared, obviously, because I just took a tumble. But I failed the first couple of times, but then as soon as I got it, I started competing in competitions. And I didn't win or anything, but, I made a lot of friends, and it got me out there, and I was just trying new things. But, I started playing basketball seriously in 9th grade, but obviously I just played on the playground. But
So you doing the whole skateboard stuff, was that like first, second grade, third grade, fourth grade? Like
that was 4th grade summer, 5th grade, 4th grade through 6th grade. Yeah, I was skateboarding. I had a few skateboards, and I still buy skateboards to this day. I won't skate on them, but I just like to buy them because it's a reminiscent moment.
That's so this is what I want what my show to be about, is stuff like this. I had no idea. In all of our talks, I had no idea that you grew up being a skateboarder and that was your first love and passion.
Yeah.
And if I don't know that, 99% of people don't know that either, which to me just it makes you more human, because there's a whole, whatever you want to call it, chunk of people out there that probably grew up doing skateboard, and there's a big contingent of people that do skateboarding stuff now. So that's just No, I think that's really, really cool. That's kind of how you got your start into sports with skateboarding and a whole different uh, group of people.
Yeah, I used to wear the skinny jeans and have holes in my shoes from skating so much, and just hanging out all day. Really, I spent like so much money just going to the skate park, whether it was snacks or just the $6 entry fee. Like, I miss that place, and now it's not even a skate park anymore. It's like a furniture store. But I still follow those guys on Facebook and some of the guys, and I mean, shoot, it was cool.
Have you ever been to like X Games or anything like that to check stuff out like that, or
Nah,
not?
that was my dream though. I always wanted to be a professional skater. Ryan Sheckler was my favorite. Then like Chaz Ortiz and then Chris Cole, of course. Like those are kind of like legends. But I like to watch snowboarding. I like to watch skateboarding, obviously BMX, like all that stuff. The X Games that interested me. That was piqued my interest more than basketball at the time, or really any other sport. So yeah, I always wanted to go to X Games, participate in the X Games, and that was my dream. Being a professional skater was my first dream.
There's a documentary about Tony Hawk. I do believe it's on HBO. Came out maybe 2 years ago. Probably haven't seen it, but it's phenomenal.
Mhm.
And kind of like you talked about, falling down, getting back up, really learning about adversity at an early age. Because I never tried skateboard because I'm 6'11", even I've always been the tall kid. But falling like that, like on my tailbone, I did that one time ice skating with my mom and dad, and I never did that again. So that hurt so bad. But coming back to the Tony Hawk thing, his whole story, obviously, Tony Hawk. I know Tony Hawk, but a lot of people probably don't know as well his story. But his broken bones and hips and the I mean, living out of a van for years because he couldn't make it and all the trials and tribulations being a skateboarder, I thought it was just phenomenal. And all these guys that just dove right in, put the whole chips in on the table to like really grow the sport, which was very, very ballsy to do at that time in space.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as easy as it looks. Those guys make it look so easy. I'm not gonna make it seem like I was really good. I wasn't good at all, actually, but I had a lot of fun. um, but I wasn't that adventurous. Like I wasn't eager to get hurt. Like you can get hurt really bad. Some of my favorite skaters, they have permanent damage, whether it's breaking elbows, um, obviously they're breaking their legs or something in their legs. It's really scary, but it teaches you a lot, just like any sport does, though.
So if you're a skater growing up, baseball, football, anything else, or was it just straight into basketball?
Never played baseball. I played football for 1 year in 8th grade. I liked it. I really did it because like my friends did it. But I had a lot of fun. I was pretty good, in my opinion. I didn't like getting hit that much, but I like doing the hitting. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I just played football, skateboarded, and then I jumped into basketball in high school.
I'm assuming the jump into basketball had a lot to do with your family, with pops and other things like that, getting into basketball, or not really? Was it more you never really got pushed into it and just kind of fell?
I never really got pushed to play basketball. My mom wanted to push me, but my dad said no because you can't force your kid to do anything they don't want to do, especially if their heart's not in it. You can obviously put your kids into sports when they're young and everything to keep them active. Put them around. Help them make friends, help them socialize and stuff, get out. But once you get to a certain age, you can't really make your kid do anything, and you kind of don't want to push them because then it could turn them away. But basketball came naturally to me. I've always been athletic. Um, but when I didn't make the team in 7th grade, and then I made the team in 8th grade but didn't play, it kind of lit a fire under me because I knew I was better than those guys and I showed I was better than those guys, but I didn't really get a fair shake. But I didn't sit and complain. I kind of just worked really hard those summers, and the 8th grade summer going into 9th grade, and then I made varsity, but like I didn't play. So then I asked to go down to JV so I could play. But basketball really just came naturally. It had nothing really to do with my dad. I feel like my motivation to be good now comes from my dad's work ethic. But my dad, I never really got pushed into it or did it because of anything or anybody. It was more so just a thing that I found a love for naturally.
So to touch on this, I think it's very important for everyone listening. You just mentioned 7th and 8th grade, and then 9th grade. You didn't make a team. You didn't make a team. Then you made a team that you weren't playing. Then you asked to get pushed down to a lower team so you could play. You and I talk a lot about this stuff. So many parents, so many players around this country and around the world, they want to always be on the best team. Adversity is not a good thing. They want to coddle their kids. They don't want to have anything like. Speak on that a little bit more in depth, like how that's helped you obviously now as a young man, everything you've been through, and looking back, if you can, like how happy. Obviously, I know you're happy you went through it, but maybe talk to those parents out there and those kids out there that look up to you and don't really know your story yet, but now are learning it. Like a little bit more in depth on that. Like those 2 or 3 years of where most kids might quit, especially this day. You know that kids quit a lot and say I'm done, and then that affects them the rest of their life.
Yeah, not making it. This goes to the kids, the parents. Not making it out there is hard. It's hard pill to swallow. Just like when grown people don't get a job or the promotion they wanted. It's a hard pill to swallow when it hurts. But is it going to motivate you or is it going to end you? And when I was younger, it hurt me. It was embarrassing because I'm the tall kid. I'm the tallest kid in the school, but I can't make the basketball team. Um, I do all this stuff on the playground or on the courts at recess, but I can't make a team. Or my dad played professionally, but I can't make a team. Like, yeah, it hurts. It's embarrassing to walk the halls. It actually really did hurt my pride, even my little pride that I had when I was a kid. But I'm not gonna say the next day I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put my head down and work. Like, no, I didn't work like that. But over time, it was like, if this is what I want and that's what I want to do, then I have to work for it. Nobody's gonna give it to me. Obviously, I'm not making a team, so nobody's gonna give it to me. They don't care who my dad is. Um, but yeah, it lit a fire under me. It lit a fire at first to prove to other people. Um, and then it lit a fire. And then when that didn't help me and that didn't sustain me, it lit a fire under myself to work harder, to get the best out of myself, to get the most out of everything I want. Because I can't live for nobody else. Because what really fueled it at first was just my embarrassment.
Again, I appreciate you opening up and sharing that because I deal with it daily, weekly, hourly. It all depends with families and players around this country that are going through stuff all the time. And you know, at the time in 2024, so many young kids are not motivated. They have one missed shot. They want to quit. They don't want to shoot anymore. All those things we know, but it's real. And we're sitting here with Bryce Williams, the Huskers' best player and future pro. He's sitting here telling you, hey, he went through it just like I went through it. And people forget that you have to go through this stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever been cut from a team?
I
Besides like other
never, I never was cut, but when I was playing pro, I was sitting the bench for majority of the games, and I never been put in that situation. And I'd go in, I'd make one shot, I might get taken out. If I missed, for sure I was getting taken out, and nobody was saying anything to me. You're a
Yeah.
pro, and then it humbled you real
Yeah,
quick.
definitely.
But the hardest thing for me, was probably as a going to be a pro when I would do pickup games and do stuff in Atlanta and Augusta, Georgia, with one of my mentors, Mike Curry, who used to play in the NBA. He had a bunch of guys in Jerry Stackhouse. All these players would come in for a week or two, and we'd do workouts. I'd be the last pick. There'd be 20 guys. We do workouts, and then we play. I'd be the last pick, and guys be like, yeah, we'll just take him. Like, I'm just an afterthought.
Yeah.
But I was one, just like you said, that motivated me. Like, okay, you think I suck. You don't think I'm good enough. I'm a pro too, and you don't care. So either you get busy working and you prove yourself, or you fall off and you know blame everybody else but yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens a lot today. A lot of people look outward, blame it on coaches, blame it on, their parents, or blame it on anything they can find just to not look in the mirror. But at some point, you're gonna have to grow up and look in the mirror and just face the facts. If they don't think you're good enough, then you don't have to leave that school. You don't have to do anything. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do because it's your life and you only get one shot and one go round. But it doesn't have to be the end of you just because you fail one time. You can always overcome it.
We'll transition to your high school years, then going into college. What was that like? Were you a ranked guy? Your senior year, you were putting up 20-something plus points. You go to University of Charlotte. How did that look?
High school is cool. I'm not gonna say I really took basketball serious in high school. Like I was just a high school kid. I played basketball after school and hang out with my friends. I go to work. I worked at the car wash. I really enjoyed that job. First job.
First job, car wash.
First job was the car wash.
Let's go.
But I definitely got my extra work in, but I wasn't just like a gym rat yet. I wasn't a gym rat. I lived like the regular high school life. I just go to practice. I go home. I eat, hang out with my friends, go to the football games, and that's it. But I was obviously talented, obviously athletic. and that caught a lot of people's eyes, which was good. You know, I wasn't ranked. I was ranked in the state, not in the country. I was ranked like top 10 or top 15 in the state, but I felt personally that I was better than a lot of the guys in front of me. Um, but I didn't really have the. I didn't play basketball that long. I hopped on the scene late. Some of those guys, all those guys, have been playing basketball since they could walk. I started playing basketball in ninth grade for real, and really 10th grade. If you want to go to the varsity route, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
But then when I got to Charlotte, you know, it was a rude awakening because I'm come from being the best. Like everybody in college is the best from where they're at or at their school. Everybody in the NBA was the best where they were, but it was hard for me to jump into the role, like you said, of not playing or playing at the end of the game, and then not having anything said to me. It was confusing. And when you're recruited, you're told one thing, like you're told like, oh, you can do this, you're going to be able to do that, or you have all these abilities. But then you get there and it's kind of a different story. But nothing's wrong with that. It kind of goes back to seventh and eighth grade where I didn't make the team. Pretty much, I didn't make the team. If I'm not playing, I'm not on the team. That's how you think. But I had to grow my mind and learn other things about the game. Learn how to actually play basketball because the ball's not going to be in my hands the whole time. I have to learn spacing. I have to learn what a good shot is. Like nowadays, basketball is very analytical. Mid-range shots aren't the best shot to take anymore. You also have to learn your scheme, your coach's scheme, what they like. You just have to learn a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't exposed to because I didn't play basketball that long. I wasn't on an EYBL scene where I'm playing the top ranked guys. So I mean, yeah, that freshman year was cool too, but it also taught me a lot. It was a roller coaster for sure. It was a roller coaster.
How far? You weren't that far away from home, right?
Not like 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes, University of Charlotte from where you were. Yeah. Obviously, I know we want to talk more Nebraska stuff and some mental stuff and so forth. You're at Charlotte. You have 3 years there. Overall successful.
Yeah.
Have a solid, very solid career at Charlotte. And then you're in the portal.
Yep. Coach
Ernie Ziegler.
Yep.
I like to say Big Ern.
Big Z.
Big Z. I know that's one of your mentors and one of your guys in your life. Shout out to Ernie. So Ernie helps get you here.
Yeah.
And tell us kind of how, I don't know, last year went, you coming to Nebraska, what your thoughts are on Nebraska when you got here. Like, I thought it was this, but it's different.
I already knew it was cold here. I never thought I would ever be in Nebraska, but when I got here and took my visit, I was just surprised. I was surprised at it being like a college town. I've never really been in a college town. I mean, I like here a lot actually. When I come home, when I tell all my friends, I actually like it here a lot because it's slower paced. My mom's from the country, and I was around my grandma a lot, so it kind of brings me back to those roots. But getting here, playing the first game, getting out in front of the fans, seeing the football games, just seeing the interaction, seeing the love, the buzz, and the passion for Nebraska sports. I really fell in love with it and became immersed in the culture. Like even just being around town, it's a good vibe. You don't feel unsafe. You don't feel out of place. I'm obviously far away from home, but I feel like I'm at home at the same time. Like I'm very comfortable. Even when I go back to Charlotte, I miss being here. And I tell my mom that she doesn't really like to hear it because obviously I'm a mama's boy, but like I actually do miss here when I'm home at my real home. So I mean, I love playing basketball here. Coach Fred's offense is so easy to pick up. He gives you so much freedom. Obviously, we have a lot of expectations to meet, but the expectations never really weigh too heavy on me here. I've just been able to come here, spread my wings, play, learn, grow, and play on a big stage. That was the biggest thing that I wanted to do. When I jumped in the portal, I wanted to play at a bigger stage. I wanted to play at a Power 5 school where I could be seeing where the talent was better. I wanted to be challenged more, and I wanted to be pushed more. So when Ernie came, called, and we developed our relationship, and I began to trust him and everything. I trusted the vision, and then when I came here and met Fred, and the rest of the staff, it really just clicked. I was ready that day.
What were your, obviously last season making the tournament, losing in the first round, but still making the tournament, averaging 13. We'll round up. I always like to round up on rebounds and assists. We were 13 6 and 3, shot 39% from 3 in your career so far. So dead eye shooter. What have you done since March Madness till now? What do you feel like's been one of your biggest things, two biggest things that you've really tried to hone in on in the off season going into your final season at Nebraska?
Um, Off the ball shooting. I mean, no, on the ball shooting, off the dribble shooting. Because I'm gonna be in a lot more on the ball situations this year. I mean, I know I played point last year, but I was more so a facilitator and then score second. But this year is gonna be more score first and then facilitate, or kind of do both at the same time. So off the dribble shooting, and then just being a leader, learning to use my voice and be comfortable, growing to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because I am a quiet guy. I'm a more reserved guy until you get to know me. But on the court, I kind of just hone in. Like I say what needs to be said, but I don't really do too much talking because I just never been that guy. But also last year, I've never been a point guard. I never had to facilitate and then score second. I mean, I had to facilitate, but I never had to solely come out, Bryce, you're the point guard. You had to run these plays and get these guys going. I'm responsible for getting Ring going. I'm responsible for getting K-State the ball. I've never been put in that position either. But it was a position it was a position I was thrown in to grow. Obviously, I'm capable of it. I showed it. But with the leadership thing, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable talking. It's easy to talk when you're doing good, but it's uncomfortable to talk when you had 3 turnovers in a row, you missed 3 shots in a row, you're not having a good game, you missed a layup. Like it's not easy. But or when you get chewed out by a coach, it's not easy. But just being a leader, having those guys see me as that, because it doesn't matter if I score 20. I mean, it might help us win, but I'm not gonna get everything out of myself. Coaches are pushing me to get everything out of me, and if I don't get everything out of myself, then I'm wasting it. I'm wasting my time, wasting their time, wasting my team's time. Um, so those are the 2 things that I focused on the most this offseason, because the talent's there, the ability's there, everything's gonna come together because I work hard. Everything's gonna come together. But sometimes it's the other things that you don't pay attention to that aren't as seen by the untrained eye that I've been working on.
And I appreciate you saying that. We've obviously had some talks about the leadership side,
Yeah.
and for everyone out there, it's just so important because you look at Bryce as this guy doing what he's doing at Nebraska and down the road in the future, pro and everything like that. But like him taking steps back to take steps forward this off season to be more of a leader, to be in that position that he's really never been in, to be able to humble yourself and say that I need to work on this because it's only going to benefit me the rest of my career, but also in my life. And no, I'm just happy for you that you've been given opportunities to expand your role in different ways where many guys never get a chance, and that's why they end up failing a lot of times as a pro or maybe in college, and then also affects the rest of their life, which is even more important that you don't have have different ways to better yourself and really figure out who you really are.
Yep.
And it's scary, like you said, it's not fun. Certain things to look inside, look in the mirror, but at the end of the day, that's what life's all about, in my opinion. And I know you feel the same way, and you really, grasp that. Uh, what do you, what are your dreams and aspirations when this season's done and we're in March Madness and you're playing in the tournament again, and whenever that's done, pro career, like what are your thoughts? What are your 2-year plans, 1 year, 5-year plans, 20-year plans?
My plan after this year is to play in the NBA. Put my name in the draft, get selected, um, go to training camp, go to summer league, hopefully get picked up to a real team. Um, playing basketball professionally is my dream at the NBA level. And I work my butt off every day for it. I mean, I can't say that anything else is on my mind other than that. Even though I'm where my feet are right now, I can't say that I have any other dream. I mean, if you want to look at life dreams, I mean, yeah, I want to have a loving wife and a loving family.
City guy or country boy? Country boy, right?
Country. I don't really. I mean, I want to be like 30 minutes from the city, like 40 minutes from the city, not too close, not too far. But I also like to have my space to be able to do what I want to do. Like I have dreams in that way, but you know, basketball is my main thing right now, and basketball is the thing that's going to make it all happen for me. I mean, obviously, I'm smart. I'm going to learn more about business, learn about investments. I have a lot of connections, but basketball is what I'm focused on right now.
what could you tell young men and young women out there that they should be focusing on? Let's say the middle school to high school range. Like, what in your mind? Like, what do you think that they need to be really working on and stressing on when it comes to basketball?
When it comes to basketball,
Mental side, we already know we got to be strong and be tough and not shoot one shot and never shoot again and be all that. But as far as like skill set wise, what do you think?
shooting is the most important thing when it comes to basketball. If you can't shoot, you're not gonna be able to. You're gonna be easy to guard. You're not gonna be able to further your development if you can't shoot. Shooting is the most important thing in basketball. Some people could say IQ. Some people could say passing. Some people could say it doesn't matter. If you can't shoot, you can't do anything out on the court. Because if you can't shoot, I'm not gonna close out, and then all the lane's gonna be clogged. You're not gonna score because you can't shoot. And then if you miss a couple times, you're gonna have no confidence because obviously you can't shoot. So if you can't shoot, you have to work on shooting. Shooting is the most important thing.
I say all the time, Bryce, can't shoot, you can't play. Just like you said, if you can't shoot, it's all about statistics. If I know you're a 10%, 20% 3-point shooter, I'm not going to guard you. Well, I'm going to drive on you. No, you won't because I'll sag off.
Yeah.
So
it's 4-on-5 at that point.
Yeah. And you can work on dribbling. Yeah, dribbling's important. Yes, we know this. But again, you're not going to be able to dribble if you can't shoot.
Yeah.
Which to me, it seems very simple.
You can dribble all day.
But
at some point, you got to shoot. So
in Fred's offense,
yeah,
he wants threes, get to the rim. He doesn't want a lot of dribbling, right?
Yep.
So for all you youngsters out there, you're hearing it from Nebraska's best player. Shoot. Work on your shot. Have confidence in your shot.
Have confidence.
Anything else besides the confidence and shooting? Anything else that you could think of?
I'd say something that I've learned. Keep it a game. Make sure basketball is just a game, because it's a game. It's a game for a reason. We play it as kids for a reason. It's a game. It's meant to have fun. It's meant to bring people together. It's meant for the camaraderie piece. It's meant to teach you life lessons as well. But keep it as a game. It's a child's game for a reason. Have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. Don't let it run your life. Don't let it become who you are. You're a kid. I mean, we're talking about 5th and 6th graders, but to everybody, like, you only get one go round. Keep it a game. Work hard. Be all you can. Work as hard as you can, but keep it a game. Have fun with it. Don't ever let it control you. Don't ever let it take all your joy.
We'll end with a few fun things real quick. Who's the GOAT?
That's a hard question. Wait, all time?
All time. If you had to pick, just like the end of the world's tomorrow, we had one guy that needs to save us.
It's probably Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Then LeBron. Then LeBron.
You get to pick 2 pairs of shoes. Now they could be like Kobe's, they could be Jordan, they could be just Nike. What would you choose? Obviously, being an Adidas school, of course, Adidas would be one of them.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 more that you'd pick if you had to put in your repertoire of
Talking
walking,
about brand
walking out shoes. Like, what would you be rocking?
It would definitely be. Let me think about what's in my closet. It would definitely be Nike, just because they're so diverse. And then, what was my first skate shoe? I guess I got to go Vans skate shoe, just because that's what I grew up wearing. But yeah, those 2, outside of Adidas, of course, because I like Adidas and their lifestyle stuff as well.
You had to choose 3 sides, 2 main dishes, and a dessert. Last meal. 3 sides, 2 main dishes. It can be steak, chicken, it could be lobster, whatever, and then a dessert.
For the sides, yams, mac and cheese, and I guess I'm gonna be healthy and say green beans.
Okay.
For the entree, I want some seafood. I want a seafood boil. I want the whole bag. I can't choose one thing. I want a lot. I want a half a lobster. I want a half-pound snow crab, and I want a half-pound shrimp.
You mess with crawfish or no? Crawdads?
I like crawfish. I haven't had it in a long time. And they're kind of like, it's a lot of work for like just a little bit of meat. But what else? You said an entree side.
Entree, yeah. One more entree. You said besides boil, what else?
It would be I like wings. It would have to be American deli wings though. I only like American deli wings.
What's that? What is that?
Exactly. It's in the South.
I'm from Alabama, but I don't know.
It's in the Southeast.
Southeast.
Yeah, it's Alabama though. Yes, it's American Deli.
Okay.
Wings. I get the chicken Philly. The chicken Philly. That's really good. Oh my gosh, I just miss home. I miss home because of the food.
I'm the same, man. There's nothing like Southern food.
Nothing like Southern food. But yeah, those are the two.
Dessert. Two desserts.
Banana pudding.
Oh man, the best.
Yeah. Banana pudding and then like strawberry crunch cake. Yeah. I plan on when I retire, like, I'm gonna indulge. I'm gonna indulge a lot, I'm definitely gonna eat good. Sometimes I just think about food all the time. Actually, when I wake up.
Favorite sports team?
Sports team, basketball, football, doesn't matter.
You a Panthers, Carolina Panthers fan, Hornets fan?
Not since Cam Newton left. I'm not a Hornets fan. Right now I'm a Pelicans fan. Brandon Ingram's my favorite player.
Okay.
And then football, sometimes it's Dallas, sometimes it's Baltimore. I'm really a bandwagon. I'm a bandwagon. Whoever's winning.
At least you're honest.
But Dallas is usually my team, but they're just selling me this year. They're just selling me. But yeah, I can't really choose a football team. My fantasy team, they're doing pretty good. My first year playing fantasy, team's doing pretty good, so it's looking up for me.
Favorite movie or get like 3 movies. Could be like a comedy, could be whatever.
10 Things I Hate About You. That's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. Okay. Just go with it. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's a rom-com. And then Cars.
Really?
Yeah. I love Cars.
Interesting.
Real life, and I love the movies too. I love everything.
We'll close with this. Nebraska basketball starts November 4th. Thoughts on the season and thoughts on Nebraska fandom / your time here. I know we touched on it earlier, but thoughts on the upcoming season real quick and your time here in Nebraska.
We have a team this year that the fans should be excited about. It's a different team, a bigger team, a faster team, a deeper team, an older team. We have the experience, and I feel like we're actually going to do it this year. I'm really excited. I have like a joy that I've never had. Not because it's my last year, but just the group of guys we have, the way we show up, eager to work. I'm really ready to see what we're going to do this season, but I know we're not going to disappoint. Can't disappoint these fans.
Which leads into your sign off on Nebraska fandom / being here. I know you've talked about with me being back here in the future and doing stuff like that, but what are your overall thoughts on Nebraska?
I love it. You can't compare to anything, second to none. It's been such an easy transition, and I love going out there and playing in front of the fans, and I love Husker Nation. Go Big Red.
Hey, Bryce, I really, really appreciate you being on the first show, and looking forward to the season, and I'm just proud of you, man, and a lot of people are pulling for you, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Okay, welcome to the show, Kevin Sweeney, CBB_Central, Twitter tag, Sports Illustrated, college basketball insider, writer, NBA draft expert, kind of all things. Kevin, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me. Yeah, it's an exciting time of year.
I've known Kevin since the COVID times. He's been on a podcast with me and good friends with several of my friends, mutual friends. So just excited to have you on to talk all things college basketball right before the season's starting here, and kind of get your takes on a lot of things from 1 through 364 to the Big Ten breakdown to some sleepers to mid-major stuff and to some NIL talk as well. And we'll also talk some Husker basketball as well. So yeah, we'll kind of just jump right into it, man. I'll let you kind of start. I know October 28th, you dropped your 1 through 364 rankings. And I know it's always a big hit all over the Twitterverse and online. Any thoughts on obviously the big dogs, but who are your final 4 guys? Who are you thinking that's really going to stand out that maybe other people aren't thinking? For a lot of the people out there that are just jumping into college basketball here with all the college football and NFL going on.
Yeah, look, I think the year should be fascinating because I think there's a really strong kind of top 12 or so teams. Part of that is more returning talent than there's been in a while. There's 5 returning All-Americans, which is the most in 2 decades. There's obviously high-level freshmen with Cooper Flagg, but also Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper at Rutgers, VJ Edgecombe at Baylor, who's another name that people will learn here over the next couple of months. So, a ton of balance. I think it's going to be a lot of fun at the top. My personal Final Four is Alabama, Houston, Duke, and Gonzaga. Bama with a lot back from their Final Four team a year ago. Houston kind of due for one with how they've been. I mean, consistently maybe the best program in the regular season over the last 4 years. Duke with 3 potential top 10 picks on their roster, headlined by Cooper Flagg, and then Gonzaga bringing a lot back, and Mark Few, I think, gearing up again. So to have a title level team. So look, there's a lot of really good teams at the top. I think this profiles to be a pretty strong, pretty exciting year on paper. But that's where I came to ranking everybody. Those are the 4 I like the most on paper.
Looking at the Vegas odds-on favorites, I was looking this morning. UConn, Duke, Kansas, Bama, the Zags, Carolina, Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, kind of in that order. What are your thoughts on UConn? I mean, I know it's probably not the trendy, sexy pick to take UConn because they keep winning. I feel like Alabama's the trendy pick, but then again, I see a lot of people not taking Alabama. What are your kind of thoughts on the whole UConn, Bama, Duke, Kansas, those 4?
Yeah, I mean, UConn is certainly earned the benefit of the doubt, right? And I think the thing that really sticks in my mind is the fact that a year ago I saw UConn in November, and I was like, man, they are really good again. But when you watch them in March, it was a completely different team. The development over 6 months, the comfort as they had time to learn the system was completely transformative, and they went from really good to overwhelming. And I wonder if the same thing happens again. I worry about their defense a little bit. Without Donovan Clingan, he was so good on that end of the floor. But yeah, look, this group is talented. They're certainly well coached, and wouldn't be shocked by any means. I think Kansas is another team that's in that number 1 conversation. Another team I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're right there. Obviously, an elite coach themselves in Bill Self, and a deeper roster. Right, last year their biggest failing by the end was they just didn't have the bodies, and that changed in a big way this spring. If anything, now they have too many guys to keep happy. So that'll be an interesting story to monitor.
What do you think of Duke? Like overall, I mean, we know they have all the talent. We know Cooper Flagg. Do you think this could be the year of, how many years it's been going on where they get all the talent just like Kentucky has? Do you think they can? Do you think they have a chance to get to the Final Four?
I do. The early reports out of practice have been pretty positive. I think the biggest question was, like, is it just Cooper, right? Cooper Flagg is great. He's also 17 still, and relying on a 17-year-old in an era of, quite frankly, 24-year-olds in college basketball is maybe not the easiest recipe. But it's not just him. It's Con Knippel, the freshman from Wisconsin, who is rising as a potential top 10 pick. It's Kaman Malawach, who's from Africa, and it's just incredible rim protector. It's the portal guys they got. Mason Gillis, who's on the Purdue national title runner-up team a year ago. Returners like Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster. Like, they really have a nice recipe here of youth, experience, overall talent. There's not really any excuses for them not to be a Final Four level team. I think if they're not, it would be a real indictment on John Shire and in his 3rd year. And obviously he has a lot to prove. Taking over for Coach K, not an easy task, but I think it's all set up for them to be really good, and now they just got to put the pieces together.
So do you have anybody, and not to get you in trouble, but do you have anybody that you think is going to underachieve of the top 10, 15, 20 picks? Anybody that you're thinking that they're one game away or one injury away from, like, wow, they definitely did not live up to their standards?
That's a good question. Look, I think Purdue is, getting a lot of hype. They're the preseason Big Ten favorites. I think they've earned that respect with Matt Painter, and they have an elite point guard in Braden Smith. But they are very reliant on him. Again, one turned ankle there, and all of a sudden, who knows what happens? It doesn't seem like there's been quite as much growth internally from their 2 wings, Miles Colvin and Cam Heide, that they were really hoping for. And so they're going to go as far as really Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Kaufman-Renn take them. And that's enough to be a good team. We'll see if that's enough to be a great team. And you have to be great to win the Big Ten.
Which I think is a great transition into talking the Big Ten. You're a Northwestern alum, which they've obviously been doing very well over the last few years under Collins. And what are your thoughts on the Big Ten? I know looking at your rankings, you had Purdue at 14, Illinois at 21, Indiana 26, UCLA 30, Rutgers 32, Ohio State 34, Michigan State 36, a few more scattered in there, and then Nebraska at 63. Like what are you thinking Big Ten wise? It just seems like there's just a lot of parity going on. Your thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of good. Not sure there's any great. As you alluded to with parity, I mean, Ken Palm's rankings. Ken Palm projects the second best team in the league to be Illinois. Thinks they'll go 11-9 in conference. They project the 16th best team in the league to be Penn State. Projects them to go 9-11 in conference. Right, potentially a 2-game gap between second and 16th. I mean, that's remarkable. I can't really remember anything like that in college basketball. Part of that's kind of the new conference, super conference era, if you will. But yeah, there's not a lot of separation, and I do think I like Illinois and UCLA, their talent level. I think Illinois has a couple of future first-round picks in Kasparis Jakushunas and Will Riley. That gives them maybe a bit of a leg up, but a lot to learn, right? A lot of the UCLA has a ton of new faces, Illinois a ton of new faces. How quickly can they merge those? I mean, Rutgers is a really interesting group with the 2 potential top 5 picks, but not a ton around them. I think it is the margin between competing for a league championship and potentially being on the bubble, I think will be really, really slim in this conference. That's great news for maybe non-traditional favorites, right? The Nebraskas, the Northwesterns of the world, right? Like, get on that late January hot streak, and all of a sudden you're going to have a whole lot to play for in February.
That makes sense. We can get back to more of the Big Ten stuff, but you had Sports Illustrated had a great piece on Harper and Ace Bailey just recently. Your thoughts? I know obviously I'm here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the show is kind of going to go all over the place. Is what I really want to do with it, not just Husker centric. So if we could maybe talk a little bit more about those two guys and let people know what you've seen, what you've heard. Just so I know Nebraska plays Rutgers at home.
Yeah.
But what are your maybe deep takes on those two, potential top 5 picks?
Yeah, they're exciting. They've earned all the hype. I went to practice in September. I encourage y'all to check out the whole piece at Sports Illustrated, SI.com. But kind of an old school recruiting job by Steve Peichel. Sold Ace Bailey, kind of was the first school to be involved with him before he was a projected top 5 pick in the draft and all that, and kept him committed even as things got more and more pushed by the Blue Bloods. And he pops like crazy when you walk in the gym. It doesn't take long to spot who the potential NBA All-Star is when you watch him play, right? He's 6'9", 6'10", springy, athletic, can make tough shots. Sort of reminds you of the young Kevin Durant, the young Paul George, the young Brandon Miller, right? Like that type of 6'9", big wing scorer that everyone in the NBA is looking for. And then Dylan Harper, the home state kid that decided to actually stick around. I mean, New Jersey's produced a ton of basketball talent. They haven't produced a ton of winning basketball players to go to Rutgers. And Dylan Harper wanted to change that. His brother Ron played there. That's a name that I think Big Ten fans are very familiar with. Dylan's more talented, 6'6" point guard, chiseled frame, capable of getting to the rim, making threes, has great floor vision. I'm excited to see him. He'll be one of the best point guards, I think, in college basketball. So that's a heck of a place to start. Now, can that group of 2 18-year-olds lift this team to competing in the Big Ten? I think that's the big question. And they went into the portal to try to supplement with some role players, proven guys that have played at high levels. But they're one of the more fascinating teams in the sport. And they'll come to Nebraska, but before that have a big trip to Vegas where they'll play Alabama. Many people's number one, my number one in the country. They'll play a few other big tests in the non-conference. So Certainly a team to circle to watch this year. It's kind of a once in a lifetime thing to get two top prospects like that at a place like Rutgers.
No, I'm really excited to see these guys play. I saw them play the exhibition / whatever the game was against St. John's, right? And I know that they were high flying and doing a lot of things, and I know that probably just increased their value and their watchability, whatever you want to call it, for the start of the season for sure. Talking Big Ten, I mean, I know we can talk about Northwestern, but we'll go Nebraska. If we can go real quick through their schedule, it doesn't have to take too long. But what would be your thoughts on their wins and losses? We can kind of go through. If you have it, kind of go through, 1-1, 1-0 type thing, and we can kind of just go by names. We'll go start with Texas Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah, they should cruise there. 1-0.
1-0. We got Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, 2-0. Another cruise.
We got my Fairleigh Dickinson. Old Jack Castleberry is a good friend of mine, so I know he's coming here, but a tall task.
Yeah, very tall. 3-0 for the Huskers.
Then it gets interesting. St. Mary's, who you have in your rankings pretty high. Neutral site game.
I actually think Nebraska wins that game. It's a tricky one. St. Mary's great coach, but I think they find a way. Their size and physicality could be a problem.
Okay, so we'll go 4-0. Then we go at Creighton.
I'll take Creighton, 4-1.
4-1. South Dakota.
Yeah, that's a win for the Huskers, 5-1.
North Florida.
6-1.
At Michigan State and the Fighting Izzos.
I think they're gettable this year, but it's still at Breslin. I'll take Michigan State.
6-2. Then we got Indiana, who is your third highest ranked Big Ten team.
And I'll take Indiana as well. It's tough. I mean, that's a toss-up, but I think the Hoosiers are a little more talented and have a ton of size.
So that's 6-3, I do believe. Then we got Murray State, and then there'll be two more games in the Diamond Head Classic. So that'd be, I'm going to say, all 3 wins.
They should win that. Yeah, they should be the favorite. Loyola Chicago, probably the number 2 team, but I'll take 3 wins for the Huskers.
Okay, so that's 9-3, I do believe. Then we got Southern.
Yep.
10-3, and then here we go. I think this stretch right here of these 5 games will be the telling point here. We got UCLA at home.
Got to win it. Yep.
So that's 11. Okay, at Iowa.
I would take Iowa in that one.
Okay, 11-4. We got Purdue at Purdue.
Yep, I would go Purdue.
Okay, 11-5. Rutgers at home.
Protect home court. Yeah, take it.
12-5 at Maryland.
I would say a loss there. Maryland's got some great incoming talent. I think they'll bounce back this year.
Okay, 12-6. We got USC at home.
Yeah, got to have it at home. Take it. 13-6.
13-6 at Wisconsin.
Man, I like the Huskers to steal that one. I think Wisconsin's gonna struggle. I don't think their talent level really stands up to most of this league right now.
Okay, 14-6, and we got Illinois. Big game at home.
I like the Illini. I want to play them as early as possible. I think by the end of the year they could be really scary.
Okay, so 14-7, then a little West Coast trip at Oregon, at Washington.
You've seen how hard it is to go west in football. I think 2 losses here at Oregon, definitely. Washington a real toss up, but I would take Washington at home.
Okay, so 14-9. Then you got Ohio State at home.
Yeah, I think they win that one.
Okay, 15-9. Maryland at home.
Yeah, I think they should get that one too. I think a split with Maryland makes sense.
16-9. Then we go to Old Evanston, your home.
Man, good one. Another team I'd rather play early. They had a ton of injuries over the summer. Hopefully by then they're healthy. I'll take the Wildcats.
Okay, 16-10. Then we go at Penn State.
It's a big one. I think you split this road trip. They find a way to get this one. That'd be 17-10?
17-10. Then you got Michigan at home.
I'll take Michigan, actually. I think Dusty May's team, a little underrated, a little undervalued. They're going to be really good by the end of the year.
Okay, 17-11. You got Minnesota at home.
Yeah, got to have it. Take it.
18-11. You got at Ohio State.
Probably a loss, I think. Ohio State, at home should get that one.
18-12. Then final Iowa at home.
Man, it'd be like playing game for the tournament, right? I mean, 18-12, toss up. I'll take the Huskers. Let's give it to the hometown. It's close. Like I think you see it just going through this though, right? Like it's going to be a lot of 50-50 games, and you just got to find a way to win more than half of them if you want to be a tournament team.
So it comes around 19-12. So yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure. I appreciate you coming down with the Nebraska take, which I guess we can kind of transition into the mid majors, which as you and I both know, it's almost becoming the AA, AAA for the major leagues type stuff. A lot of mid majors that are good keep losing their guys to the Power 4, Power 5. What are your thoughts on kind of the current state of the mid majors, and then also who do you like this coming season?
Yeah, it's really tough, right? I mean, it's a grind. There is sort of an inevitable kind of hopelessness that I think a lot of those staffs have right now. Like, how do we have any chance of keeping guys when our entire roster's budget is half of what one guy is making in the Big Ten or the SEC? And I don't think that's changing. But I do think at the same time there are some really, really good mid-major teams on paper. I mean, Grand Canyon with Ty and Grant Foster back. They won a game in the tournament last year. They'll be right there again. McNeese was a 30-win team last year. Will Wade's coaching them up. They've got tons of talent. They will be right there. One of the few kind of mid-majors that kept their guys was Princeton. Sweet 16 2 years ago. Last year, disappointing in the conference tournament, but went 24-3 in the regular season and bring back two total studs, Cade Pierce and Xavier Lee. So I'd circle those three. Obviously, the Mountain West and the A-10 always producing good teams. Mountain West had 6 bids a year ago. I don't think they get quite that many, but 3 or 4 certainly possible. And the A-10 should be incredibly competitive with St. Louis and Josh Schertz coming in there. VCU obviously be very good. Dayton should be back in the mix. Loyola won the league last year. In that conversation again. St. Joe's is talented. So it feels like every all the wind is against them at the moment, but at the same time, they're finding ways to build competitive rosters. And I do think in March there'll still be the upsets everybody knows and loves.
Here's a quick question for you about the mid majors. I've had thoughts about this for a while, and I know it's happening, but does it become more mainstream where certain mid majors, low majors become that farm team for a Power 4, Power 5? And again, I'm not going to say any schools out loud, but let's say said team in whatever state, a mid major kind of lines up with said big team in the same state or the same, whatever it may be. They have good friends, and we know how the college basketball world, coaching world works. Could you see that becoming more mainstream where it's you place a guy at a mid major, low major, then kind of, hey, when he gets good in a year or two, we'll bring him up? I mean, thoughts on that? Or it's always a touchy subject, but it's real.
Yeah, look, I think everyone's getting creative, right? If you're a mid-major staff and you're not at least open to the conversation that, like, hey, we want our guys to be really good, have success, and then move up and get paid, then you're probably behind the times right now. Is that kind of informally doing that with one staff or a couple of staffs? Probably not yet, but maybe down the line. But yeah, I think teams do have to make decisions, and the best way to get talent right now at the lower levels is to take freshmen, because so much of recruiting at the highest level is get older guys, get in the portal. And so you got to take advantage while you can. And so right now that I think that the advantage avenue is to go the high school route and try to develop those guys. And I've always said, like, you can't keep a guy until you have them first, right? So it's great to have this kind of defeatist mindset of like, yeah, eventually this kid's going to transfer out, but at the same time, I'd rather have him and worry about trying to keep him after his sophomore year than not have him at all, right? I mean, the worst case scenario is you have a great player who decides to leave down the line, right? I'd rather get the great player on campus first.
What do you think, or what do you know as far as like let's say a good mid-major? And again, you don't have to say any schools' names, but what would you think a budget is for a good mid-major in 2024, 2025?
A couple 100,000 probably. I think you hear 250 is a good target in a one bid league, and then in kind of the Mountain West A-10 WCC, that mid plus level, I think you hear high 6 figures, maybe up to $1 million or so. which again, gives you enough to be competitive in the market. But at the same time, if you're going up against schools that have $4, $5, $6 million at their disposal, you're not going to win battles very often.
Yeah, it's obviously changing daily, weekly with all the NIL stuff, and it's affecting the mid majors, low majors, and D2s as well. But
yep.
What are your thoughts on even like the D2s, D3s, the JUCOs, the NAIAs that maybe you're seeing differently with the whole change in things? You see players going that route more? Because I know I'm telling players, hey, go there and develop. Go to maybe a lower league, develop, and then you do your thing, then you can go up there and play in the Power 4, Power 5 instead of going to the Power 4, Power 5 and then not doing as well, then you have to go back down.
Yeah, your biggest leverage in the market is having stats on your side, right? Whether those are D2 stats to move up to mid-major, whether that's mid-major stats to move up to high major, whether that's D3 stats to move up to low D1, right? Like whatever it is, right? I mean, I think if you want to maximize your value, you have to play. That's the biggest thing. And I understand why guys want to chase the highest offer, and they see the money that's available at the highest level, want to just get there and see what happens. No one ever believes they're not going to play, right? You know that better than I do, right? Like no kid has ever been recruited by a coaching staff and been like, yeah, you're not gonna be in the rotation for the first couple of years. That's not how it works. But I do think there's kind of some realism that has to kick in at some point, and understanding of like, there's so much money out there in the market if you play your cards right and you position yourself as a junior or senior to be a starter at the highest level. And if that means going down a level early compared to where you thought you could have gone, or where you believe you are supposed to be at, then maybe that's the right move because it sets you up down the line. And again, opportunities are opportunities, right? At the end of the day, that this thing is still about as much as anything, getting a degree, having an opportunity to continue playing in college. And there are still great opportunities to do that. Maybe they're not as glitzy and glamorous as playing in the Big Ten or playing in the SEC, but I think everybody's got to get creative. There's still a big pool of players, and people are going to find the best ones, and the cream will eventually rise to the top. There's film and numbers on just about everybody nowadays.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better. I tell players in Nebraska, the Midwest, and all around the country that I deal with is you got to play. Like you said, you got to play. You got to put up stats. Don't just go somewhere and sit. That's how things work, and it's still not happening enough. But that's how life is, and it's going to always be that way. What do you think moving forward with high school basketball? And I know you deal with a lot of the college stuff and the NBA draft stuff. What do you think that high school landscape kind of looks like, in the next year or so, with shoe circuits kind of tightening their grips on certain things? And any thoughts on that from that angle?
Yeah, I think it's constantly changing. Look, I think, there is very much this kind of nationalization that I think is happening, and everybody trying to get into big prep circuits or into the OTE program. And I'm sure there's high school coaches now having the same conversations about the quote unquote transfer portal that college coaches were having 5-10 years ago. It's crazy. It's kind of where we are. I do think it's important to have developmental avenues for guys. I think we're behind nationally compared to other countries, and what we're doing with kind of 14 to 17-year-olds, 14 to 18-year-olds. And, I don't know who are going to be the people that build the solutions. It does feel like OT is doing some really good things. I think some of the EYBL scholastic programs and whatnot are cool, but where does that leave your average high school? I don't know. It's a really delicate time, and I do think things will continue to change. So it's just a very disruptive period in the sport, and I think that's probably started at the NCAA level, but has trickled down all the way into the high school and AAU world.
The international side of things, as you and I both know, that we deal with a lot of our mutual friends. I don't think the average fan or the average family really understand how big that move has been the last few years, and taking up spots for USA kids and American kids. And it's just becoming harder and harder to get those spots. And it's just going to get worse because there's so much talent around the world, and they see that there's money now in college. You can make way more money than playing in the second division or whatever of a certain league in Europe by far. And you're seeing it now too. There's players that are coming out saying, I wish I stayed in college another year or two instead of trying to go pro because, I'm not making anywhere close to what I could be making back in my college.
There's a guy in Nebraska at Creighton who was a 22-year-old 4-year pro in Europe who decided that college was a more attractive option. The money has changed everything. And if you can recruit those guys as freshmen, then, every coach in America should, because if you can get a 22-year-old who's been playing rotation minutes in a high-level league, it's a different world than an 18-year-old coming out of high school. So, yeah, lots to change. But, I do think the international model is going to continue to grow, and the U.S. does have to keep up if they want their players recruited at the highest level.
Well, Kevin, I'll leave with this one because I know we got to get going here. Again, Kevin Sweeney, Sports Illustrated, college basketball insider, NBA draft insider, CBB_Central on Twitter. Also does stuff with Field of 68, Jeff Goodman, and I don't know if anybody knows about that. Hopefully a lot of people know about it, but the Field of 68 is just, I think, Kevin, it's a collab of many, many bright minds that have podcasts kind of all in a central location online, and I know you're a part of that. So Kevin's doing a lot of great things around the country with college basketball and the pro stuff. We'll bring it back to this. Maybe your 3 or 5 predictions about the upcoming season. I don't know, whether it be a mid-major sleeper that you're like, I'm holding on to, or the Big Ten's going to be a flop like usual in the tournament, or whatever it may be. What are your maybe some tidbits before we sign off here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an unpredictable year, as I said, kind of alluded to at the top. I think the number one spot in the polls will be a revolving door, maybe even more so than it's been the last couple of years. I think the best team will end up being Houston. They've been, again, top 5 in KenPom each of the last 4 years. I think they'll make it number 5 and maybe even break through and win it all. I think Cooper Flagg will be as good as everyone thinks he will be. The hype is not overdone on that front. I don't know if he'll win National Player of the Year, but I think he will be the most impactful college basketball player in the country. Let's see, maybe a sleeper, a fun tidbit. Watch out for Louisville. I know that sounds like a weird sleeper, given the brand there, but they've been so down the last couple of years. I think it's a complete 180 with Pat Kelsey at the helm. Brings some excitement, and they brought in a great new roster in the portal. So excited to watch them here tip it off in the next week.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, I truly appreciate you coming on. Have you back on during the season, especially maybe before the March Madness starts, and get your takes on a lot of things. But again, appreciate you. Always a pleasure talking to you, answering my texts about random thoughts and all that stuff. So thanks for coming on. Have a great start to the college basketball season, because I know you're going to be all over the place.
Thanks, man.